Okay, there's me having a little bit of a jam. Very easy to do with yourself, obviously, if you know what you're doing somewhat. But it's funny, I woke up this morning and I had a few video ideas, a few things that I've been thinking about that I'd like to do. And then I thought, why don't I do something zoomed out a little bit? Because I've put out a lot of videos over the last couple of years, teaching all kinds of things. Obviously, transcriptions, theory stuff. There's the theory for rockabilly and psychobilly, which is actually just for guitar, to be honest. So if you're checking out this channel and you're not here for the rockabilly and the psychobilly, that playlist, it goes through all the essential theory things if you're interested. But I decided today, why don't I make a video that helps people use a lot of the things that they've been doing, maybe a lot of the skills that hopefully they're developing from the transcriptions. So today I wanted to talk about the lost art of jamming. We've all been there when you sit down with someone and you want to have a jam and it just doesn't really go anywhere. It's the most frustrating feeling, and I often sort of contemplate why. I don't really know why it's such a lost art. But then when you see all those YouTube videos that say you don't need theory and, learn this one way to be a guitar god, it's all just, they're just trying to make a buck. And I'd say fair enough, but it actually does grind my gears because at the end of the day, it's promising, something that I don't think they're very likely to deliver, at least not in a... Anyway, let's leave that alone. I'm going to just get on with what I'm going to talk about today. So I'm going to give you 5 things that will help you when you want to sit down for a jam. Okay, 5 ways to help make a jam better. And then at the end, I'll give you some pointers, some very more guitaristic pointers on, how to navigate a jam session, how to improvise over a couple of different chords and whatnot. To use some basic knowledge to get you through. You don't have to be a theory whiz or a fretboard knowledge expert. I'll give you a couple of basic things. Oh, and I'd like to thank my latest Patreons as well. Francisco Reese, Isabella Ramiro, Ephraim Raphael Winkleman, Ashley Harper, and Matt Purcell. I may have already thanked Matt Purcell. Simon Denon, Ernesto Martinez, and Christian D. Vega. I'll just thank as many people as possible. I guess I can edit this. So, first thing, okay, decide on a structure. Now, there's nothing worse than sitting down and saying to someone, let's have a jam. Okay, cool. All right, what do you want to do? Man, just do whatever. No, it doesn't work. It does not work. The only example of this is Guthrie Govan's Aristocrats, or whatever they're called, Aristocrats, that band. They just sort of jam and feel it out. I don't like it at all. It just sounds like people making stuff up on the spot, and that's what it is. And there's a lot of people think it's genius. I just think it's a lot of dissonance and ordinary sounding things. It's basically like this. Let's have a conversation. What do you want to talk about? I don't know. Let's just talk. Cats. Oh yeah. Elephants. Cool. Tire size. That's what it's... Anyway, again, I must be in a mood today because I could very easily get into it. I'll leave it there. Decide on a structure. Okay, so that's step 1. Pick a couple of chords. Okay, even if it's one chord, it's better than just whatever, because whatever is nothing that you can actually improvise over. So by setting a structure, you're actually creating something in which to operate with some freedom, if that makes sense. So, it would be better to just have 2 chords even. Let's just do this. So let me just hit that loop. So I'll just play 2 chords, A minor and C. Here we go, A minor and C. didn't quite do that right. I started looping my own playing. But you get the idea. It's less work for someone to navigate over and more fun. Now, I will talk at the end about a few tips on how to navigate a jam like that. So if I just played those two chords, what would you actually play? I'll talk about that. It's actually not as hard as you think, or it certainly doesn't have to be as hard as you think, because I know it gets into territory very quickly, like, oh, what do I play over this chord, or what do I play over that chord? I'll give you a few basic rules at the end, so stick around for that. Okay, so number 2, I kind of just touched on it anyway. Keep it simple, okay? If you're going to have a jam with someone, don't be that guy that throws 6 different chords that come from different keys. That's not fun. It's doable. I'll have a go at it right now, but I'm just going to make up a couple of random chords. We'll see what happens, okay? But don't do this. Here we go. It might turn out okay. We'll see. Oh, no, this is already hard work. Not gonna lie, I actually really enjoy that, but it's taking a lot. It's mentally taxing, okay? I've been playing since I was 7, I'm 34, teaching since I was 18, had a guitar in my own a long time, studied music. I'm looking at those chords going, chord tones and pulling things out and trying to do it musically. That's hard work for me at this, wherever I am in the journey. Someone a little further down the journey is probably not going to enjoy that. That's a cool... I actually enjoyed that progression. But even then, when I'm playing it, I kind of have an idea before I play it what it's going to sound like, and sort of can't help but steer it somewhere slightly musical. But yeah, imagine if you're just learning your basic scales, trying to navigate that. It's a nightmare. By the way, if anyone has any questions along the way, put them in the comments. If there's anything about theory that you want me to talk about, or about jamming, any of this stuff, put them in the comments. Put your questions in the comments, and I can make videos on it down the track. So that's 2. Keep it simple, and yeah, I mean, look, unless you really want to mess with the person, or you know that they're a really good player, and you want to challenge them, that's cool. But in general, keep it simple. Number 3, this one's really important as well. Listen to each other, okay? One of the most frustrating things is when you're jamming, okay, and the other person's clearly not listening to you. It's annoying, okay? And it also comes back to keeping it simple, because if you've got a chord progression you're struggling to play and you can't pay any attention to what the other person's doing, it's not fun either for either of you, really. So that's a really important one. And I think that leads straight into the next point as well, which is number 4, don't hog it, okay? So I feel like 3 and 4 are really important. If you're there, okay, and I'm going to do a different progression now, because I'm not going to try jamming over that last one. I'll give myself a headache. But let's do this. So let's take that overdrive off. Kind of butchered that, but anyway, okay, one time through, and I know I butchered it because I was listening to the chords. I actually was going in a different direction to the own chords that I made. So you have to be listening to what's going on. And now imagine if I did that for another 5 minutes. At what point would you be thinking, okay, I want to turn? If you're the guy playing the chords right now, you're just watching a video. But this drives me insane. I will sit down with a student. No offense, students. There's a few of you, so just assume I'm not talking about you. But, you sit down with a student and you say, all right, I'm going to show you the chords. We're going to make sure we both know the chords, okay? And we're going to jam. And I'll take a solo, and then you take a solo. And I often do this because inevitably what happens is I take a solo, and then they solo, and they solo, and they solo, and they solo, and they solo. It's actually I think I did this once. I was jamming with a couple guys, and actually it was Damon Smith from Sun Rising. I was ripping away. I was much younger. Probably wasn't really listening as well to everyone else. Was just showing off. And he goes, "Hey, that's great. Do you know how to play chords?" Sums it up perfectly. Okay. Now, obviously, the student probably might not realize that. Hey, pass the ball back at some point. But yeah, I mean, I taught. I show them the chords, or I'll show you the chords for a reason. You got to play them too. Okay. So, and this is another reason you've got to be good at chord playing. You can't just be good at ripping licks and solos and all that kind of stuff. You've got to be able to play chords to be good for jamming. Sorry, I should keep turning that down because of that single coil hum. Okay, so number 4 was Don't Hog It. And this is the last one, and I think this one's extremely important, okay, and it will, give you the confidence to go out and jam. Number 5 is it's okay not to play well, okay? It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to suck, basically, okay? It's actually something you have to do if you want to jam well, because if you go into jamming needing to be perfect, you're going to do things that are comfortable and safe, which are things that you've done, so you need to be prepared to go out on a limb, okay? I'll do it right now, okay? I'm going to try and I'll play that progression again from earlier, and because it is particularly challenging, and I'm gonna suck, basically, okay? So, we'll see what happens. Okay, let's try that again. So, I don't even remember what I played. I think it was this, okay. Okay, well, look, I there was moments there. I went out. I just went to parts of the fretboard. Well, oh god, I don't want to sound like I'm blowing my own trumpet. What happens, I guess, in a way, is I know the chords, I know the fretboard very well, a lot of time, and I'm generally finding what I want to do. But there were moments there where I didn't do exactly what I wanted to do because I thought a chord ahead or whatever. And why that happened was because I was happy to dive into parts of the fretboard that might be a little more grey. And then I was actually finding they weren't as grey. So that's the thing, like by being prepared to suck, you will play so much better if you've got those chops. Now, if you don't, you will very quickly come to understand what you need to work on. So that's a wonderful thing. It's like anything. You need to be vulnerable. Okay, you need to challenge yourself to see where you can improve. If you just play a blues all the time, you'll eventually get good at that. But even that, you still need to move to parts of the fretboard you're not comfortable with when you're jamming. You do it when you're jamming. That's the time to do it. Okay, maybe if you're auditioning or something, whatever. But when you're jamming with your friends, which is kind of the whole point of this video, just go out on a limb and have fun and try different things over different chords. You might not know what to play on certain chords, but have a go. Okay, so that's the 5 tips on jamming. Now I'll really quickly talk from a guitaristic point of view, some good ways to navigate, some basics to navigate a chord progression. Okay, so I'll use that as an example right there. So I was doing an A minor. There we go. I was playing an A minor, F sharp major, D major, B flat major. And basically you've got chord qualities, minor and major. If you can play something that sounds good over a minor chord, okay, so I know I can use A minor pentatonic, and then F sharp major, I know I could use an F sharp major scale. Now, there's much more intricate ways to approach this. But this is a slightly blunt way to do it, but it works and it sounds quite good. Over in F sharp major pentatonic, right? It's a major chord. We use a major bass scale. Obviously, we stop worrying about the overall key, but forget about it with this anyway. This is almost a bad example because there's not much key. It's just whack, okay? It's going all over the place. But on the F sharp, I'm just thinking F sharp major ideas, and you're going, oh, that's a horrible key. How am I going to learn all these keys? Well, not really. Just learn a major scale. Okay, you could learn all the different positions of it, you know. And then you would use it over that chord. Wherever you can. And if you don't know it all over the board, who cares? That's fine. Another thing is that over pretty much any major chord, you can still use a minor pentatonic. So an F sharp minor pentatonic would have been okay. Would be totally okay over that chord. And then the D major. I'm just thinking in D major now. You can even, actually, I was doing a few other things, a little bit of mixolydian and stuff, just things that work over a D major chord. So I kind of broke it up into the chords and worked that way rather than trying to play one key. And I know that sounds challenging, but all you really had to learn in everything I've just said was a major scale, okay, that you know that you can figure out how to move around. That's probably the complex part there. A minor scale or a minor pentatonic scale for the A, for the F sharp. And again, you could use that minor pentatonic scale over a D, so you could play a D minor pentatonic. And then on the B flat major, again, B flat major pentatonic, or B flat, you know, you could do it the sliding scale, okay? So I'm kind of just taking, you know, there's two basic scales I'm really talking about, or three: major scale, major pentatonic, minor pentatonic, and I'm just moving them with the chords, okay? You've got information in the chords always. You know, the root note even can often just be enough for you to get by. Gets a bit more complicated when you have root 5 chords like a D. You need to understand how to play from there. So now you might be sitting there going, oh, too much information. So I'm going to just do this one more time, but let's take a more simple progression. And this is some good news here, is that the majority of the time, if a progression sounds cohesive, you probably only need one scale, okay? And generally, it'll be the chord that you would finish on that would work the best. It's not often modal stuff. We're not going to really get into. But my advice is, if you're trying to use one scale and there's a certain chord it's not working over, see if you can figure out by ear, okay, what's going on there. So, for example, if I'm playing, oh, hang on. Yeah, stop that. I knew I'd butcher this at some point. There we go, and overdrive off. So let's say we're doing the progression I played at the start, A minor, F, and C. Okay, you can tell there's nothing out there, there's nothing that's really sticking out there. Okay, so more or less, I can kind of trust that, you know, okay, it finishes on C, starts on A minor, it's generally going to be one of those. So I can kind of trust that that's going to work fairly nicely to play something in relation to A minor or C over the whole thing, you know, and don't sweat it. Again, try it. If it's not working, you know, figure something else out, okay? Use your ears. You know, the notes are all on the board. You can find them if you listen and find things that you like. So now let's scrap that progression. And let's say I throw a D major in there, because this throws a cat amongst the pigeons. So if I go... Okay, so what I did there was the D major, something on that chord was sticking out to me. Had I kept playing an A minor scale or C major, okay, that F would clash. Okay, let's actually check that. Let's just have a listen. Did that keep it? I think it would have. It didn't keep it. All right, I'm going to have to play that chord progression one more time. So... So that F is clashing. So that F is clashing. And you know, if you can't hear it and it sounds okay to you, don't worry about it. But if you can hear it, noodle around a little bit till you find that. So anyway, guys, that's it. I've probably spent all the time you want to spend listening to me talking about this topic. Don't forget, questions in there. If you're new to the channel, check out my channel. Make sure you subscribe. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. And for my long-standing members, thank you so much. Also, sorry for the disaster last week where it was like a raw, unedited video. I'm just really grateful that I didn't swear or kick something during the process with all the things that constantly go wrong trying to make these videos. You'd be amazed. So it actually was a fairly smooth video, thankfully. Yeah. Anyway, hope you enjoyed, guys. I will see you in the next video, and have a good day.